So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and well, an unbagging video. Today we're taking a look at C3I issue number 37 from RBM Studios. Now, if you don't know what C3I Magazine is, it is an annual magazine that comes out from RBM Studios, Roger B. McGowan Studios. And RBM Studios does pretty much all, or a significant amount of all kind of the artwork and the graphic design for GMT games. And so what you'll notice here is that there is a heavy focus on GMT games within this magazine, but not exclusively from some of the content. So this is both an annual magazine, so there's kind of interviews and articles and strategy stuff in here, but one of the joys of this magazine is that it typically comes with a big game. This magazine, however, comes with 3 games. So we're in a bumper year for 2023. Getting a hold of these on the second-hand market is often very expensive and quite difficult. So if you have an interest in these, or if you find your GMT games collection is growing, I would recommend looking into these and don't wait. Because there are issues of this magazine that you just cannot get, and they're some of the very best ones. And so, you know, just bear that in mind. Something that has this much value in it might go that way as well. So I don't want to be that guy to be like, oh, FOMO, but gosh, these magazines are so good. They're well worth it. You know, they're not a cheap magazine from compared to like a newspaper, but good gracious, everything that's in here is wonderful. So, right off the bat we have, and I'm going to say this wrong, I believe it's pronounced the Bettis campaign. I don't know if that's true, but so there is an Ancients game from 211 BC in this. There is also 2 other games on top of that in here as well. There's the map for that Bettis campaign, so let's open this up and we'll go through kind of everything that is in here and kind of show you what it is that you're getting yourself into. So a big old bag that it comes in, don't need that for the moment. So the magazine itself and all of the stuff that's in it, I mean, it's literally like, but even if you just got the magazine, this is it's both a very high quality published, like printed magazine, very thick cover, very nice semi-gloss pages inside. And if you did just that, you've got yourself 67 odd pages of glorious war game content covering a lot of your games, got little special variations or thoughts. This particular one has the censorship phase for Red Flag Over Paris. I have played this variant, and what I will tell you is they have the components for it in here. I will not play this game without this censorship phase. It just adds something real nice to it. So, you know, Roads to Gettysburg, tips and tricks and strategies. You know, an overview of Jim Dunnigan's kind of influence on the war game industry. Strategy tips for Empire of the Sun. And guess who it's by? Mark Herman. So if you only get stuff like this out of this magazine, you're going to have a wonderful time. You've got Volko Ruhnke's kind of thoughts about hidden information and deception, and he's got this nice, I've had a nose through this, so I'm very excited to kind of read this. There's a ton of stuff in here. You're going to have a wonderful time if you only read the magazine, but you get free games with it. So let's go through that. So we have this Bettis campaign, and it is a full rulebook. Now, a lot of magazine games, you're very limited by the components and by what you can put in there. And there's an element of that from the counter density in this game, but this is a 24-page rulebook. It has absolutely everything in it, but like that to say, this isn't some kind of goofy, nothingy game that they've given you. And I appreciate that. You know, it's got diagrams, it's got setup, it's got all the history in it. So let's look at the map for that, for the Bettis campaign. And this is, again, this is a full 22 by 34 map. This isn't some like sad little joke map that they put together. Like, this is a full-blown Z's war game in here, and I really like that they're going the extra mile and giving you something that really feels like it's a big war game and not just, you know, sometimes you get the little 11 by 17 and it's a little bifold and a couple counters on it and it's fine. Like, you have yourself a full play aid on here as well, with combat summaries and your sequence of play and terrain effects. Like, this is a full game in here. We'll get to the counters here in a bit. We also have, which is kind of funny, we have a new a new Great Battles of History GBoH scenario. So Great Battles of History is another Ancients game, but it's much more involved with a lot more counters in it. And this is the Battle of Castulo in 211 BC. And I believe it uses this map. And so this has a dual purpose, which I think is pretty neat. And so you've got your regular, like, different game that you can play on it, or you have like a full C3I, a full GBoH setup that you can do for this as well, which, again, I think that's pretty cool that they did that. They also give you the simple GBoH rules for that. Simple GBoH is a separate module, but you can use it and apply it to all of the different Great Battles of History games, you know, so it's not just from SPQR Deluxe. You could use it for Julius Caesar, Conquest of what was the other one? No, don't remember. But you could use it for Alexander. You could use it for all of those lines. What was the big one? Cataphract. That's the one I was thinking of. The big black box. So again, multi-use out of this. Really, really neat. Then the next game that we have is a solitaire war game called The Spanish Road. Now, this rulebook is 4 pages long, you know, and that's more akin to what you're going to get in a lot of magazines. So we've already had one big game. We're also getting a nice little desktop solitaire game. This is the map, and I know it's only boxes and stuff, but look at how gorgeous that looks. Look at the little detail just in the edging on those spaces, the portraits that they've put in, the background to the portrait, all this kind of filigree style stuff they got going on. I just think this is a really nice little piece to look at, and I'm really excited. That makes me kind of drawn to it and want to play it. And we'll look at all the counters here in a separate bit here. And then the last thing that we have, game-wise, the third game in here, is Jim F. Dunnigan, so Jim Dunnigan's Drive on Metz 1944. Again, we have ourselves a little rule book. This is very typical of what a magazine rule book kind of looks like standardly, or used to look like. This has its own little map. And it is a bifold, right? We've got this little hex encounter map, and we've got ourselves a turn track, victory point track, CRT, and a terrain effects chart. If you've played any little magazine style games, this will be very familiar for you. So we have that as well. Then we're going to go to the what they didn't. I don't want to show everything in the box. So we have some punch-out cards for Twilight Struggle. So this is the Twilight Struggle optional cards. Your choice of 007 variant card titles. So you can choose one per game based on your favorite James Bond or lead actor. So basically, they've got all these different alternative titles for it. There's no, and it's a little optional. You're going to slide one of these in there. Now, you need to sleeve your cards for this, because it's like a little perforated edge. These are much thinner than your standard GMT cards. But if you've got your card sleeved, these are just a fun little extra. It's a card. You're literally going to put that into your Twilight Struggle deck during the Mid-War. So that's a nice little fun extra. Speaking of cards, we have our censorship variant rules for Red Flag Over Paris. And once again, I promised you that you will play this and you will like it. It makes that game better, honestly. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it just makes it better. And again, they give you a sheet of cards to put into your game to supplement those as in the and with the strategy deck to kind of make that function. So those, but again, it's those here. It's those perforated little ones. So just know that you're going to have to sleeve your cards. Well, these are a separate deck, but you'll want to sleeve those ones. That's for sure. So the last thing that we have, and really one of the big draws of the magazine, is a counter sheet. Now in this one we have all of our different. Because there's 3 games in here. We've got all of our counters here for the Bettis campaign. We have our SPQR Castula scenario, gives us these. There's a light troops variant for SPQR as well, which are all of these counters over here. We have, gosh, what else have we got down? Oh, it's all of these as well. And then we have our Spanish road counters of these ones here. And then we have our drive on Mets counters of these ones here. The important part of that is that you have like errata counters, or you have additional counters. So if you played Army Group Center, these counters are errata counters for that game. Rebel Fury Gettysburg, we have all the counters for that here as well. Normandy 44, we have some variant counters for Brigade Fortresses, and the 12th SS here as well. Do we have anything else that's cool? I think that's mostly it. But a lot of, like, typically, you know, when they don't do like, oh, just one game, you'll get a lot of different errata counters on here as well. We have a few, but you'll get, you know, a little additional variants and different, like a cool counter for this or for that to toss into your other games that you bought during the year, just to like, to just enhance the games that you do have. So this is one of my favorite parts, is nosing through the counter sheet and kind of seeing all the goodies that are on there, basically. But that's a look at everything that you get in C3I 37. If you think that's worth the value, it is. You should go and check it out, and don't hesitate on pre-ordering these and getting this, because when these magazines sell out, I think they're gone forever. I don't know if they've ever done reprints on these. I just don't know if they have the bandwidth for that, or if it ever gets done. I don't know if I've ever seen it, because there's, you know, the issues with South Pacific and Plan Orange and Liberty or Death Southern Strategy. Those are just like gone, and they're so popular, but you can't get a hold of them anymore. So if you like what you see in this, go and pick it up. At worst, you're going to have a fun time playing these little games. At best, you're going to have an incredible time enhancing all your games and getting yourself, you know, this is some quality reading. So I know what I'm doing with the rest of my weekend. But appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander for theplayersaid.com.